I'm Isaac Stern, a violinist, obviously. And some people have called me a prodigy, but I do not consider myself one. I didn't start in the normal prodigy way. And by the normal prodigy way, I mean that you started about 2.5 years old, and by the time you're 3, you're already performing worldwide, which many of the violinists I know have started out that way. I did not start out until I was 8, and actually not even for a passion for music or violin. The only reason I started was because my friend and neighbor Nathan. I'm 8 years old, but my friend played violin and I wanted to be like him, so I played. Well, the first 2 years, I learned quickly, but I was playing for Nathan, and I learned faster than my teachers could teach. So I went through tons and tons of teachers in the first 2 years of my life. And when I was 10 years old, I realized that I actually could do something with the violin. The violin was more than just an instrument, and music was more than notes, and I could see that. I could put myself into a piece of music, and I could play it through the violin and make something pop, something happen that was more than just notes. It was music. And after learning I had this power, my just playing for Nathan changed into a want to play violin. I want to play. Well, from there on, my violin career, that's when it really kind of started. When I was 12, I was introduced to Noam Blender, who at the time was the concert master of the San Francisco Symphony. Now, I played for him and then later on became a student of his. He was the last teacher I ever had, and definitely the most influential. He, instead of focusing on things like scales and arpeggios, he taught me how to use my musical intuition, my talents to play the violin, which is something that not many teachers do. But more importantly, he did something even more special than that. He taught me how to teach myself, which is what every teacher should strive to do. Yes, it's important you can ask good questions. Yes, it's important you can think. But teaching yourself is something that is more important than all that to put together. Well, after I ended lessons with him, in 1943, I made my Carnegie Hall debut, which is the building you're in right now. Now, I played concerts before this time. I made my first debut when I was 17. But the Carnegie Hall debut is extremely important for any musician to do. Carnegie Hall, if you don't know, is a performing arts center in New York City. And it opened in 1891, and it's had the most culture passed through it of any concert hall that I know of. Well, I did great there, and ever since 1943, Carnegie Hall has meant a lot to me. And my role in Carnegie Hall's development really came out in 1960, when the New York City Town Council was planning on demolishing it. Now hear this. They were planning on replacing it with a 44-story, red, porcelain-covered car garage and office store. I've seen pictures of the building. It's hideous. It's the ugliest building I've ever seen. Well, they had these plans in mind, and musicians had tried to start a drive. It wasn't really going anywhere. Well, by this point, I've been playing for several years, and I had become an influential violinist. So I called a few people, made some connections, and we raised tons of money, and we actually saved the building. Now, saving the building also required doing a lot of refurbishing, which it needed badly. The walls, paint chippings were coming off, and things were falling apart. And so we paid to get that replaced, and just things fixed up, and beautiful after we finished. Carnegie Hall is more than a building. It's an idea. It's a work of art itself. And the music that passes through there is just amazing. And that's why it's always been such an influence to me and musicians all over the world. Well, we got it, the musicians and stuff I had with us, even Eleanor Roosevelt came out to help. We got it saved as a National Historic Landmark, which means it will never be torn down unless there's some kind of national disaster or something like that. Well, the Carnegie Hall Corporation was extremely pleased with this. They had all tried to save the building, and so they elected me as president of the Carnegie Hall Corporation, which I have held for over 40 years now. And so it's a wonderful position. I love doing that kind of business and music combined kind of work. Well, they also the auditorium you're standing in right now is the Isaac Stern Auditorium, which is an amazing honor because every time I'm in here, I think of the greats who passed through, like Tchaikovsky, who stood right here in the opening and conducted his symphony. I mean, like, right here, it's mind-boggling how amazing that is. And just all the other greats who have been here. And then there are those yet to come, like some mentors of mine, Yo-Yo Ma, Itzhak Perlman, Michal Superman, so many yet to come with such great talent. They could have missed out on the opportunity of playing at Carnegie Hall, the stepping stone for all musicians. And so I'm extremely pleased with just the work that was done there. Now, I've done other work. I've traveled overseas, been to Israel tons of times. I've been to China. I was the first musician, along with a pianist and friend, to go over since America resumed diplomacy with China. It was a great experience. I was able to teach a lot, and I was able to see some of their culture and bring them some of the Western culture as well, which is just wonderful. Well, as I said, Carnegie Hall has been important in my life, and it's probably the main thing that I focus on. And I've actually played over 200 concerts right here. It's a lot of work. And speaking of those 200 concerts, I have one tonight. So if you'd please excuse me, I have some more to go.